100% Chelsea. Now, I've got son of Chelsea, Dan, and I've got Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV here, and we're going to go over strengths and weaknesses of both.
Of Arsenal.
Got to tell Wenger that, mate. We're going to go over strengths and weaknesses both of Chelsea and of Arsenal in the build-up to the game. Now, I'm going to start with the opposition first, because we want to know exactly who we're facing on the weekend. What's going right for you guys, and what's going wrong?
Listen, it hasn't been a vintage start to the season, but it's been a solid start to the season. It was that first game was very disappointing against West Ham, where I think we was very complacent going into that game and we lost it. But since then, we've had two I'm taking the Champions League game against Zagreb out of it for a minute because we rested so many players in that game. But with our full team, we've had two good away wins, one at Newcastle, one at Crystal Palace. And I've got a feeling that we might have a third here. Yeah, I really do. There's a lot of positives at the moment. Ain't got particularly players that are really at their peak yet, but I think Theo Walcott is definitely a plus at the moment. And I just think that his pace, looking at the games that I've seen recently with Chelsea, I think his pace is going to worry you guys.
Yep. And any weaknesses? Anyone who stands out there you go, no way should he play on Saturday?
No, not really. You know what? There's a lot of positive. Defensively, we've improved a lot. The defence is much better. I like Gabriel in there. I'd rather have Gabriel in there than Mertesacker. I think if Mertesacker is playing, then Costa and Hazard, their pace and trickery will give him a lot of problems. But this kid Gabriel, he's a real, street fighter. He's a real warrior, and I'd like to see him and Koscielny in there. Monreal at the back has been solid. Bellerin, to me, best right back around at the moment in the Premier League. He's been absolutely a revelation. And Coquelin in the midfield, I'm really looking forward to seeing him going up against Matic. I felt he dealt with Matic very well in the Charity Shields, but that was early on in the season. I'm interested to see how he's going to cope down here at Chelsea. But these are sort of positions where we've been very weak in when we've played you guys before. Yeah. Over the years, where we've really got a real good strength players in those positions now. And that's what's making me feel that this is going to be a bit of a different game. Plus the fact that you guys are under a bit of pressure.
Yeah. Well, obviously going into that, we've had a lot of weaknesses this season. Right, do you want to build on that? What's going wrong and what positives can you take out now that we've got, especially after the Tel Aviv game?
I think looking at the... I think the defence is clearly a weakness, and I think that especially at that right side, and it all comes down from Ivanovic. I mean, I think the fact that against Tel Aviv we made that switch, brought in Baba Rahman, and then take Azpilicueta out to the right back position. It's just better. It gives us more depth. It gives us a little bit more width, more attacking options, and I think that's very key on Saturday. For me, I stated this before the game against Tel Aviv. If Jose is going to drop Ivanovic and then bring him back on Saturday, there's no point of dropping him in the first place. There just isn't. You play Ivanovic against Tel Aviv to try and build up his confidence. So hopefully, those are the two right backs he goes with against Arsenal. Drawing on the positives, I thought Loftus-Cheek for me was absolutely brilliant. I know the opposition, of course.
Play him now? Will he play Loftus-Cheek? I mean, he doesn't normally play kids in these sort of games. So will he be brave enough to play Loftus-Cheek against Arsenal?
I think he has to take that risk because Loftus-Cheek has given us something that we don't have. Since Lampard's gone, there's been a massive gap left in terms of someone who can be a powerful kind of runner, someone who can run in, burst through infield. I mean, we've got Matic, but he's not that type of player. He's more of a defensive player who's there to kind of sweep up the opposition and then give it to the attackers. So Loftus-Cheek especially. Diego Costa looked back to his usual kind of self. I mean, he wasn't exactly on form. I mean, that goal was just absolutely brilliant. So if he can... I think over in the team for me, I just want to see aggression. Something that I saw against Tel Aviv that I haven't seen so far this season is that aggression, getting in the opponent's faces, closing them down, pressurising them. Arsenal are a team that like to pass the ball around. So they're going to come here, they're going to, even though maybe you're saying, Robbie, that you think that you may have a different style, you still are naturally a passing team. So if we can get some aggression, just press them, you know what I mean, and have that defensive solidity, I think we've got a better chance on Saturday, especially with the fact that the horror of seeing Ivanovic against Alexis Sanchez on Saturday. I think maybe even if I'd be more worried if they put Oxlade-Chamberlain out on that right wing. But the fact is, if put him out on the right wing, he's going up against Babarama, and Babaraman's got good pace. He looked composed on the ball. So I think it's more to do with just being aggressive and just solid at the back. I think those are the key things. And giving it to Costa, quick play like we have in the past against Arsenal, taking our chances. Cesc Fabregas looked a little bit better against Tel Aviv. He showed a bit more aggression, as I was saying to you. But I also think Fabregas looked better in terms of getting the ball from deep and bringing it forward. But you can't play Fabregas in that deep position anymore because it just exposes us, I think.
Just a little bit of news for you though, yeah? We ain't Maccabi Tel Aviv. I mean, you know, Maccabi Tel Aviv is like, oh yeah, we are fantastic result we had. We 4-0, we beat Brentford, or, you know, we beat Leyton Orient, you know, 6-0, fantastic. You're going to be up against a completely different proposition on Saturday, and we ain't Maccabi Tel Aviv, and I think that there's a lot of areas where we can exploit. And I think that, I mean, I just hope that we can get an early goal, because I think then you see a very nervy Stamford Bridge, because you can't afford to lose this game. Everybody's there for euphoria, you know, I got down there, everyone's like, yeah, it's all great again. We beat Maccabi Tel Aviv 4-0. But you know what, yeah?
Interrupt at that point. I think there's a point where a lot of Chelsea fans, like myself, are looking at that Tel Aviv game in the context of one game. I'm not coming away from Tel Aviv thinking, yeah, we're amazing now, we're going to go on and win the league.
It seems to me, since I've come down here, everybody's going, yeah, Chelsea, we beat Tel Aviv, yeah, we're going to... Listen, we ain't Maccabi Tel Aviv. We're Arsenal, right? And it's not the Arsenal that you beat when you beat 6-0. This is a proper Arsenal team that's coming here this weekend. And I think, you know, nice car. I think, you know, Abramovich, by the way, right?
Probably Giroud running from this place.
I think that, you know, yes, some of the players you're mentioning putting in would be great, but I don't know, I can't see Mourinho risking it. I think he's going to go for your big-time players for these big-time games, because this is a massive game. If he loses this game, he's under serious pressure. People are not going to remember what happened at Maccabi Tel Aviv. They're just going to look at it and think, the league, we've only won one game, we're in the bottom three. It's going to be a lot of doom and gloom. So I want Arsenal to exploit that. I want us to come here. I want us to be concentrated. I want us to defend well. And the players, if they do step up, like you just said, will give a lot of problem to that back four. Because I get the feeling that Ivanovic will play, because he's just such a big player. So Alexis Sanchez up against him. I want to see him on him. I want to see Walcott on him. I want to see pace up against John Terry, who also I don't think has looked the same player this year. And to be fair, listen, you can't do it year in, year out. You're going to have a dip. And I think there's little chinks there at the back that Arsenal can exploit. And I look at the team at the moment and I think the teams where have smashed us over the years, with Lampard's in there and Terry's and all these guys, real solid. And I look at the team at the moment, and something at the moment at Chelsea ain't right. Something's wrong. Ever since you got rid of the doctor,
Eva.
Since you got rid of Eva, it's all gone. You know, Eva's having an effect on the place. And I think Eva might bring it home for Arsenal at the weekend.
Well, in terms of the game itself, how are you looking? Well, from our point of view, from Chelsea, how do you think we'll approach the game? Are we gonna, go all out against an Arsenal team that we know will come out and play football, or are we gonna go and resort to sitting back a little bit, hitting the counter, and just try and get 3 points? No means necessary.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to that Community Shield, I know people say it doesn't matter, but I think the thing that I realised about the Community Shield early on in that game was, this is not the way we play against Arsenal. This is not the way Mourinho sets up against Arsenal. He's trying to play more open, and of course Arsenal were able to have more possession of the ball, didn't have to take as many risks as they usually do when we're sitting back. So they won the game, and we were playing quite poorly at that point. So I think what we have to do is do what we always do against Arsenal: frustrate them, get in their faces, get Oscar in the number 10 position to do what he did against Arsenal here last year, which is get in the faces of your players. Absolutely.
Gabriel now, as I said, don't discount that. It's not Mertesacker. Well, I'm hoping.
I'm talking about midfield. I'm not talking about your centre backs.
Coquelin in there is a real street fighter as well. It's not the same.
Still got Ozil, still got players like Oxlade-Chamberlain, still got players. Even Sanchez, I think, got bossed out of the game here last year. I was impressed by Sanchez.
Street fighter. Don't diss Sanchez.
You have to admit, last year, your key players went missing in that game. Yeah. And that's going to be the big challenge on Saturday if you play a player like Mesut Ozil. Mesut Ozil has to step up here on Saturday. Because then everyone's going, I thought, because apparently Arsenal fans think he's having a brilliant season. I personally am more scared of Cazorla than I am of Mesut Ozil. That's my personal thing, because I think he affects games more. That's my as well. Aaron Ramsey. But for me, I think, just play the way you do against Arsenal, frustrate them, stay solid at the back, work for each other. That's what I want to see. I want to see us go out and do battle against Arsenal. I want to see them get in the faces. I want to see Costa have that controlled, aggressive nature that he did.
Controlled. I stress, controlled.
That was what. We're seeing a different side to Costa this year. People go, like last year, he's just absolutely mad. No, his aggression was controlled. It was methodical. It was getting in the opponent's head. It was making the runs in behind. It was making the opponent think twice. This season, he's just arguing with the ref, and we didn't see that against Tel Aviv, which is
Costa in games. Walking around, I have to wonder if he's like Floyd Mayweather or something. He's just been walking around trying to fight people. That's the
problem. He's been out of form, and it's with a lot of our key players have been out of form so far this season. But maybe the fact the team we're up against could somehow work in our favour, because I think Jose is probably his biggest game of the season for him, because he loves beating Wenger. Even though the Community Shield doesn't really matter, he won't have liked losing to Wenger because it's the most recent game. He's probably thinking to himself, this is a chance. Everyone wants us to lose. The media want us to lose. Everyone wants to see Jose get sacked. And
cough, cough.
Cough, cough, yeah.
The media wants to see you lose. Why do you say that? I mean, why?
The media recently have been very negative to the press, but then, hey, it works in cycles. But
I think a lot of that is to do, as I said, with what he did with the doctor. He lost that game. He tried to blame it on the doctor. Then he demoted her and that. And I think because she's a female and quite a nice-looking female as well, a lot of people were like, well, hold on a minute, why are you bullying her for? You know what I mean? Stop bullying people and bring your bullying on the pitch. And he hasn't brought his bullying on. Hold on.
Yeah, to be fair, John
He hasn't brought his bullying on the pitch, has he? He's bullying her, and that is why a lot of the media turned against him. That's my opinion, because before, Mourinho's always been a media darling. But because of that incident with the doctor, and that's when I say, I joke about it, but I say those little things to me had an effect on Chelsea, because there's been people you're just a bully. Stop bullying people, and not if you're winning on the pitch is fine, but if you're not, then people are like, you're a bully. And you know what? Serves you right that Palace came down there and done you. Serves you right that Swansea should have done you. Serves you right. And also, I just want to remind you, the other thing, I just was, as I said, everyone that I've seen around here today, I'm not just saying necessarily you, been getting carried away with that Maccabi Tel Aviv game. But if I was the Arsene Wenger, I'd be showing the players the video of the Everton game. And I'd be saying, listen, this is a team that you can beat. They are not the Chelsea of last season. They're not the Chelsea of a couple of seasons ago, and I'm confident going into the game.
I do agree with you. I think, one of the most painful things as a Chelsea fan about the Everton game was the lack of spirit. The one thing I kind of ask about Chelsea players more than anything, and I'm sure you do with Arsenal players, is a bit of fight. You can lose games sometimes, that's the way the football works, but you just want to see a bit of fight, and we didn't see that. But that's what I think hopefully will arise on Saturday. We'll see that from certain players, certain key players. I want to see Fabregas getting stuck in. I want to see Cahill had an amazing game. It's going to be a little bit difficult, I think, who he brings in, because Cahill and Zuma both were really good against Tel Aviv. Then again, opponent, but I thought Cahill did really well without John Terry next to him. Usually he's kind of goes missing sometimes when John Terry's not next to him. So it'd be interesting. I think it's going to be a really tight game though, because I don't think we're coming up against a Man City. We're coming up against a team who have had a mixed kind of start to the season, not the most amazing start to the season. I'd be more fearful if Walcott plays out wide than if he plays up front. Because I think Walcott loves scoring against Chelsea. When I've seen him, he's just naturally, for me, he's more of a winger than he is a striker. For me, I'd probably, if I was Wenger, I'd play Giroud up front. I know he's been awful, but you play Giroud up front, try and get the ball up to him, and then try and get Walcott to run in behind, trying to get that pace, trying to exploit the defence. That's what I'd do if I was Wenger, but we don't know. Maybe he'll play Walcott up front because that's what he's been doing recently, and maybe what happened to Giroud against Kiev, Zagreb might actually change his feelings toward that game. But it's going to be really tight. It's a massive game, and as you've said, if we do win that game, it will absolutely change the whole mood around the club. That would get us buzzing. Tel Aviv. It's going to be absolutely awful because losing to Arsenal is.
We've never lost at home under Mourinho to Arsenal.
Yeah, it would be absolutely awful. I think it would. Mentality-wise, I think it would give a lot of strength to Arsenal. They'd think, because this is the one that you guys want to win the most. You know, you beat City, you've gone to United last year, won the FA Cup, but this is the one you really want to win because I think to a lot of people coming to the Bridge and winning is really tough. But recently, it's become quite easy because of our form. You know, so it's going to be massive. I think both teams are not exactly on massive, like not brilliant, but I think it'll be just be a tight game. I think.
Well, score prediction, lads. We'll go with you first.
I think it'll be really tight. I'm going to go 1-0 Chelsea.
1-0. You?
Sticking on my 2-1. Arsenal.
All right, there we are. Fingers crossed. But I have to mention, right, and I know you guys are dying to see Mourinho get sacked. All right, but bro, everyone against, you know, everyone who's not a Chelsea supporter would love it if Jose got sacked. But our game against Tel Aviv showed that all the fans are behind the club and behind Mourinho. Stand up for the special one.
Stand up for the special one. Get behind the team on Saturday. Be positive. Come on.
There we are.
Down the other day on your channel, you'd be having another one, won't you?
Probably, yeah, I would be having another meltdown.
I mean, that meltdown was more epic than some of his, by the way. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, you would be having another meltdown, possibly.
Yeah, well, there's no possibly because I don't think it's going to happen.